Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. As you can tell from the absence of my green screen background and just seeing the screen of green, I am having technical difficulties with the computer tonight. So we are just going to go ahead and wing it. And as you may or may not know, we are part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, which has shows of all kinds every day and every night of the week. And there's always something. You can find something that will interest you in all of this, from comics to unsolved mysteries to conspiracy theories to chat shows to historical fencing and everything in between. Let me tell you, there's a lot of in betweens, but we cover all the slots there. And here we have just one of those chances to show you that a rising tide raises all ships. So, in order to get on with the show, let me bring in Bill here, and we are just kind of winging it right now.
I'm
And
winging it.
yep, yep. Uh, an angel with one wing. Here we go. Kind of. Oh well, that was a Hawkwind joke that not many people are going to get. So, let's moving on here. Oh, Will. We actually have somebody watching now that I went through all that agony of trying to introduce the show. Uh, that's just fine. Let me turn back up here to the comments. That everything is in a different directory on here. It's no big deal. Uh, I am using a different computer tonight, which might cause me to look like uh, and sound like a Japanese monster movie or a Chinese kung fu movie where nobody's voice matches anybody's lips. But that's fine. Those are fun. Uh,
You're in sync and your audio's good and no glitching, so
well,
keep your
that's one of the
fingers
reasons.
crossed.
That's one of the reasons why I'm not trying to go for the green screen. I could do that,
Yeah.
but it would really degrade my outgoing signal. Something fierce. So know that this laptop is not made for deluxe streaming. It's bare bones streaming capable. So I'm keeping it to the bare bones, uh, which is
Well,
which
that's
is
what I wondered about mine because I know I have that option and I thought about putting up a green screen, but then why hide all this stuff though? I mean, nobody'd be able to see Karen or Julie or even Burt Ward back there or
well.
my above my head is my Patrick Owsley signed print that he did of that was his collage of the intro animated intro for the Batman TV series, and I'd just rather have that up.
Well,
Um,
I'm just hiding a couple of bookcases and some work clothes
mhm.
that I've run out of closet space in the house years ago. So stuff is on coat hooks all over, and it's I wouldn't call it dirty laundry, but I don't think anybody wants to see some of the uh, boiler suits that I wear to work when it's in between being absolutely freezing cold and absolutely burning up. Um, Matter of fact, somewhere back there is the insulated coveralls that I wear to work when it is freezing cold. Uh, Even got a pair of insulated boots back there that I haven't worn to work in years because they build up entirely too much static electricity. If you touch anything, you get knocked flat on your butt. Little bitty teeny tiny lightning bolt just go boom. So, oh, and Ace is with us. Thank you.
Hi, Ace.
Okay.
Thanks for joining.
Let's see. There we go. God is talking to one of his angels and says, "Do you know what I have just done? I have just created a 24-hour period of alternating light and darkness on earth. Isn't that good?" And the angel says, "Yes, but what will you do now?" God says, "I think I'll call it a day." I don't have rim shots queued up on this, so I can't do them. That's
Yeah.
definitely a stupid o'clock trick right there. But let me see. I might have one.
I sold my Slingerland drum set decades ago.
Nope. Don't see a single drum rim shot on here. So, well, that's just one of those things. Just be glad. I do have a couple of Rising Tide adverts and intermission, but I don't think we need to have an advert right now or an intermission because we basically just started the show. Um, now, there was something I wanted to say to you, Bill. Um, oh, have you got any idea what they're asking for that Matchbox card Diora that is in your illustration on there? And is it
Oh,
loose or is it in a package?
no, they're being sold individually. Actually, I could look it up really quick in the store. Let's see here. Get over to the store, which is MomCat63.
Yes.
The Diora. Python. Man, the El Dorado with the matching badge is $46 right now on that guy. The one that really surprised me, the Hot Wheels Redline Antifreeze Green 1968 Hot Heap Sweet 16, because I saw those at auctions that were sold for like $80, and this one isn't doing so well. But let me see. Okay. Are you talking okay, the antifreeze green 1967 Diora? Oh, be that guy right there. And
Yep.
currently there's only one bid for $9.99 on it, which all the bids start at $9.99. The auctions do.
Well, that must be out of the package then. Yeah.
Yeah, none of them are in the package.
Okay.
Um,
That was my favorite one from back in the day. It really was.
Diora, yeah.
I had quite a few, and I don't remember what the original price range was back in the day when you just got one out of the store. Was it a dollar, dollar and a half, or 50 cents, or what? But it didn't take me long of playing with my Matchbox cars before most of them needed a paint job.
Oh yeah.
I was really rough on toys, but that always struck me as a very beautiful one.
Well, the heavy Chevy and the Boss Hoss was always my brother's favorite. This particular Boss Hoss we got going right now, $53
Whoa.
is the current bid, and there's still a couple days left on it.
Somebody's in serious search of some childhood
Well,
memories.
we got 11 bidders on it, and but yeah, it's crazy on some of them.
Oh, it would be. It would be.
And we got a couple Marks figures. I believe I mentioned about the 1967 Johnny West Fighting Eagle Indian figure. And there's 20 bidders on him, and he's at $102.50. Now he's got the original box and a lot of his, he has all of his accessories with the exception of his war lance, his beaded, the necklace, and the tomahawk, but everything else he has on there, which is quite a bit. And he's one of the bigger ones. And there's one that they just started on, and they only have 8-bitters. Mark's also made a Noble Knight series,
Mm.
and that's the Silver Knight, Sir Stuart. He's only up to $20 right at the moment, but he's got about 4 days left on him to
Now,
go. So
do you remember who the competition with Matchbox cars was? Stuff in the same scale and
well,
the same general metal construction rather than the plastic ones.
now you're talking about Matchbox or Hot Wheels?
Well,
Diora that you were talking about is Hot
it's the
Wheels.
Hot Wheels, yeah. So yeah, Matchbox would have been one of the competitors. I think there was a British competitor too, but
Lesney, it was the British version
okay.
of Matchbox. And then, of course, you had Johnny Lightning, which was from Topper.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Lightning was really the closest to Hot Wheels. They made the same type. Matchbox and Lesney. Matchbox did more of your typical cars that look like cars instead of looking like dragsters and things like that.
Hot Wheels was going for the dragster look, yeah.
And then, of course, you had Corgi, which was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
They were the ones that had the Batmobile and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and the Monkeys Mobile, which I have a Johnny Lightning version of the Monkeys Mobile, which was the one on the blister card that Peter Tork signed that Laura got me for my birthday a few years ago. But Corgi was the original ones that made them. And Corgi, the great thing about them were they made the little plastic hand-painted figures. So if you got a Batmobile, you got a little hand-painted Batman and Robin that permanently set in there. They were just molded figures. If you got a Black Beauty, you got a little Bruce Lee Kato and Van Williams Green Hornet. If you got a Monkeys Mobile, you got all 4 of the Monkeys. And even Chitty Chitty Bang Bang came with Keenan Wynn and all the figures that would ride in the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car. And so they did a lot of that. I remember in the early 70s, they made a Penguin Mobile, which basically had his rainbow umbrella opened up, and there's a little penguin figure in there. And so that, besides the licensing that they had acquired, that was one of their claim to fame.
Yeah.
On that. And
I can understand that. Somebody missed a bit in not releasing little Johnny Quest airplanes and Jeeps and things in that scale. And some of the other stuff that there were tons of Saturday morning cartoons that could have had little cars and whatever vehicles to play with. I used to have all kinds of die-cast metal airplane toys and tons of little plastic jet fighters. They were about the same size as a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox car, but it was an airplane. And oh Lord, tons of stuff, absolutely tons of stuff. A lot of things that got overlooked. Somebody put out the James Bond Aston Martin.
That would have been Corgi.
Yep. Just absolutely tons of stuff. And you got to remember, childhood was half a century ago for me, so um,
If
my memory
if
is not what it used to be.
if you give me a second, I actually have my Corgi Batmobile from 1960s. I can show you, and I'll just go ahead and turn the camera off for just a second, and I'll bring it back and
Okay,
see it.
Ace has got another joke here, and I will just put that up on screen. Two guys were sitting in the bar when one says to the other, "My wife's an angel." The other guy replied, "You're lucky, mine's still alive." Oh, there was a time when I felt like that. Now I'm glad that my wife is still alive, uh, and she is an angel, even though. Ah, kids, when you get right down to it, all you got's the here and now, and the memories you built up from your life before, and treasure those because they are to be treasured. All right, Bill, enough philosophy for me.
Well, I got this thing, and now I'm almost wishing I don't want to show it because I'm such a horrible housekeeper. It's been sitting up on a little shelf
Oh,
that I got a bunch of my toys displayed, so you can imagine
I've got
the dust on it right now because I'm not the best housekeeper in the world. I'm not the worst, but I'm no Hazel.
I've
If you
got
get that
I've got
reference.
a Mach 5 and a Mach 6 over here still in the packaging, and you can't see the cars inside for all the dust that's built up on them.
So here's my Corgi Batmobile.
That is nice. That is real
Um,
nice.
and it, like I said, this is the original one from the 60s. And they have the little, I have to be careful. Maybe I ought to pull the Robin one out. They have the little hand painted figures.
Yeah.
And which I didn't pull the Batman out because I really don't want to break the steering wheel. I did that on one of my other ones.
Yep.
But this is, and each one was hand painted and, of course, permanently in that seating position.
Mm-hmm.
But they fit so perfectly in there. And with Corgi, they give you some other little extra added details. Now, I don't have any right now, and I've seen some for sale on eBay, and I will have to get some. They used to have the little plastic torpedoes that you would put down into the tubes. And here's a little switch that you turn the switch and it popped the torpedoes out of the tubes.
Mm-hmm.
Then also the flame on the back
Would go in and out.
go in and out as the wheels go, which I'm trying to show it.
Yep. Yep.
And
Wasn't there a buzzsaw in the front?
little chain, little button here, and you try to get it just right. Push the button, and out pop the little chain cutter thing there. So, but yeah, I had, this is not original, and the one thing that is missing on this, the antenna on the back here, they are so susceptible to getting snapped off. And I think if ever I found a bad one for parts that actually had the antenna, I would buy it just to replace mine. But it's not the end of the world right now. I used to have the Batmobile, and then you had a Bat boat and trailer. Then about 15 years ago, Corgi came out with new versions, but they were in a smaller scale. And which I'm bad on the scales. It was a bigger scale than Hot Wheels, but smaller than this.
Mm.
And they came out with another Batmobile and Batboat with the trailer that you hook up to the back. But then they didn't quit there. They went out and did all of the other Batmobiles from the comic books. They even did ones for the Super Friends cartoon from 1973. And currently you can still find them today. I think it's Corgi. Maybe I'm mistaken on the toy company. I've seen them at Walmart and Myers and Target and everywhere, where they do the 1989 movie Batmobile and Batwing and the later movies that came out. So
Here we go. There's Chris. Sounds like 1:48 scale. Now, my wife just dug some stuff out of a storage bin that I had, and I now have two not unopened, but completed model kits over here. One of them is an Enterprise, and the other is a space shuttle.
oh,
And I've owned them for years, and I have opened the boxes and looked at the parts and never put them together. Um,
how
it's
old
been,
is the Enterprise model kit?
I could not tell you. It's probably pre next gen. Uh, uh,
Okay.
it's probably the motion picture era.
So, AMT put out tons of Star Trek stuff in the 70s when it made its resurgence, but they put out a larger scale of the Enterprise early on
Hmm.
that actually had working lights in it. And it I had it and the lights worked, and then um, something went wrong with the wiring or something. I can't remember what it is.
Hot Wheels is 1:64 scale. Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Chris.
okay. But the
Um,
AMT Star Trek kits, I know the Enterprise ones, they never did make the whatever scale that one was with the lights, but then they made a larger one that had the lights, which would have came out around 69 or 70, something like that. I vaguely remember it, and I've seen it only one time at a flea market since I had mine, and the guy was at it. The box was kind of bashed up. He said he thought all the parts was there, and he was asking $200 for it.
yeah, I
It,
bet he was.
yeah. But I had that. Of course, I had the Mr. Spock model where he's shooting the phaser on the three-headed snake. I forgot what the name of it was. I had the bridge playset, the bridge model
Mhm.
with the figures. I think it had what was it, a Kirk Spock and I think Sulu figure that came with that with that model. Oh, and I had the exploration set, which had the phaser, communicator, and tricorder.
Oh, yeah.
You had to
I
have those when you were kids.
oh yeah. Friend of
But
mine had a Saturn V,
hmm,
uh, the Apollo rocket, and it stood about 4 feet tall. I mean, it was complete from the launch pad on up to
wow.
the escape rocket, and he kept going on about how he wanted to take it back apart and put in fiber optics after Star Wars and uh, the Star Trek the motion picture came out, and light the darn thing up. But he never did because he was busy doing other stuff that he was building from scratch instead of from kits. Another friend of mine had the complete set of the Universal monsters,
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein, the Wolfman, uh, and for some reason, it included Phantom of the Opera and Dracula, even
Oh
though
yeah.
uh, uh,
Aurora, which
yeah,
is from Aurora, Illinois, is the company that did those, which of course they did all the superhero ones, all the Batman, Superman, Superboy, Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, Captain America. I got some repops of Captain America, and I think a Batmobile model kit. I never playing Mantis kind of put out a bunch of repops of this stuff. You were talking about Captain Action, or no, John was talking about Captain Action earlier, which was Ideal's competition for G.I. Joe
yeah.
back in the 60s and early
Actually,
70s.
I believe it was me because I remember those when I was from when I was a kid. Uh,
Oh, yeah. We had them. And I have a few, which I get a few things together Saturday night. I can do my show and tell, which seems to be becoming a regular segment now. But
no,
I just love talking about the stuff.
was it Aurora that put out the flying sub model and other
Yeah.
stuff?
Well, um, it was
Was that
either Aurora or AMT, but I think it was Aurora.
okay?
There
Because
was
I
some stuff that AMT took the licensing when Aurora stopped making them, and
okay.
then you would see them from them, which that kind of went into the 80s.
Yep,
Uh,
I remember Revell, AMT, and Aurora were the three big ones.
mhm.
If you wanted a good model, you got those.
Oh yeah, yep.
If you wanted the really cheap ones, you went with one of the other companies.
Revell did most of your car models, truck models, and that. That's what my brother bought. Really big on the Mopar stuff. So anything Barracuda, Duster, Roadrunner, he had them
hmm I was
and
not very
that. And
I was not very big on model cars. I did do a few. Uh, uh, let's see, there was at least two different uh, World War II fighter planes, and the ones that I had were both Japanese. And I had one. It was rather large for a model airplane, a plastic model airplane,
mhm.
and it was one of those things. When I got through building it, I couldn't really figure out how to play with it, and uh, after a year or two, I decided to go for a distressed look on it. So I took uh, I took a nail and heated it up with a torch and pushed it through various parts of the wings to look like it had been shot up by an American fighter plane, and that it really looked nice. Smelled horrible when the plastic melted, but that was temporary. Uh, it probably would have been flogged by a real collector for doing that to a poor innocent model airplane. But I had a zero in the what was the other major one? I can't remember. Um, anyway, somebody that remembers more about World War II aircraft could probably give us a clue, but it's neither here nor there. It's just one of those things. Um, mm, I used to have a Texaco oil tanker, model that was motorized. So you could actually put that thing in a pond or a swimming pool and turn the motor on and let it cruise around in circles. It would go straight, but there wasn't much point because at that age you weren't allowed anywhere near any large body of water. So
Did it come with a breakaway hole that let all the oil out?
no, that was before anything like that ever happened or was acknowledged to have happened. So no. And actually, I got it from a Texaco gas station. My parents bought it for me from one of the places where they stop for gas every week. So, and got S&H green stamps for it, or whatever the the green stamps in question were, because different companies had their own different things. Uh, Lord, I remember having to lick tons of them stamps in order to get a basketball. I mean, get a free
My mom
basketball.
got a stereo one time for the family with green S&H green stamps.
Oh, Lord, that must have
And
been a bucket
I
full
can't
of.
remember how many books she had to fill up for that. But it wasn't like a really, I don't remember it being a name brand. So it wasn't like Pioneers or Techniques or Teak or anything like that, but nothing with Marantz speakers or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, yep. Uh, Lord, there were all kinds of things back in the day. Um, oh heavens.
Well, on the back of the comic books, they always had the ads for selling different things. And it was I think it was called JSA Club or something like that. And you sold stuff, and then you could get to go pick out the prizes. And this club was going, I know, at least from the late 60s on through the 80s, because you would initially see things like you could get a whatever generic version of a Schwinn Stingray bicycle and a football and a handheld movie camera and a bracelet that would have your name engraved on it. And then later on, by the time came around the 80s, you were getting little transformer robots. And I actually have a Snoopy radio that I
Oh,
got with one from the mid 70s that I still have. Operates on a 9-volt battery. It's just an AM radio, and thing still works. Got a little short in the volume control that you got to kind of play with a little bit to get it just right, but it still works to this day. And it was just a piece of plastic shaped like Snoopy sitting down. They did that with several of them.
yep. I remember that. I remember that. I think somewhere in the house is an old AM FM cassette radio that's shaped like a teeny tiny jukebox,
Mm.
and that's got to be from the 70s or 80s.
Mm.
But well, cassette that pretty much gives you the era right there. If it had been 8-track, it'd been limited to the 70s, but
For a short period of time, I used to buy radios that were shaped like things. I have, I have to this day still two Coca-Cola dispenser, the Coca-Cola machine, and a Pepsi machine that are, the Coca-Cola machine's not a radio. The Pepsi one is. It's an AM/FM radio. And it came out in the early mid 80s. The Coca-Cola one actually came out in the late 90s, and it's a bank, but you could push the little buttons and the lights would light up. And once you dropped a coin in the bank, the little chip in there played "I Like to Teach the World to Sing" Coke theme song. Not all of it, but just a piece of it. And the machine was the 60s era Coca-Cola machine that would have what they referred to as the fisheye logo for Coke
Yeah.
back then. And then I have AM FM radio that's shaped like a red box of McDonald's French fries. If you pulled the antenna up, and the other, they had a hamburger one, but I never did get that. I never could pull the trigger on it. Um, but there were a couple of them like that. They were just in. I just thought it was neat at the time, and I got
Oh,
them inexpensively. So
back in the day, I actually sent off for a plastic model of the Guppy from Captain Crunch, and the hard hats from the Quisp and Quake cereal.
yeah, Quake
Those,
hard hat. Yep.
yep.
Always wanted one of those, but never got it.
Well, the little light actually worked. It
Mm.
wasn't very bright, but then neither was I.
Well,
Uh, was only a child then. Um,
it'd be worth
well,
some money though these days.
probably would. Yeah, I don't know where any of that stuff went to. Uh, my family never throws anything away, so it's probably in a box somewhere. Lord only knows what state it's in. I mean, of the union, not
Mm.
condition. But
I was in an antique store the other day, and I saw something in person for the very first time, and I've known of the existence of this forever because it's Batman related. But in the mid 60s, when everybody was coming out with Batman everything, Ideal toy company, who did the Captain Action figures and got the Batman licensing, first one to license a Batman figure, or well, costume that you could put on the figure. They also came out with a Batman helmet. Now, it was shaped like his cowl, and it had the cutout with, and the eyes cut out that you could see out. But instead of it being a cloth cowl, it was actually a plastic helmet that fit over a kid's head, much in the same way if they got a plastic toy helmet of an astronaut helmet.
mhm.
And I know ones in decent condition were fetching a good price. This one was all there with no dents or cracks or anything, but the paint was uh, less than desirable. And he had a $40 price tag on it then, there at that store. But I just thought, one, yes, I'd like to have it, but two things that held me back. One being the condition of it with the paint. I would rather have one a little bit better condition. And then the other thing that held me back is, where in the hell am I going to put it?
Yeah, really.
And that's the
Um,
main thing.
I'm going to have to leave you in charge for a moment. I shall return shortly.
Oh boy,
Hey, just
trouble there.
hey, try and remember the name of the child size spacesuit and helmet and backpack and all this other stuff that we used to see on the TV commercials back in the day. It was about the
Ooh.
same time as Major Matt Mason, but those were actually toys. These were kid-sized costumes. If you can remember that,
Mm.
I would be infernally grateful because it's been driving me crazy for about a week now.
Huh.
I shall return.
Okay. Well, I hate to say it to him when he comes back, but I do not remember those. And I could do like John and Google them, but I'm not sure exactly uh, how to Google it. But The Major Matt Masons, obviously, I remember those, and I have one over there that I've showed a lot of times. But Chris or Ace, if you're still out there, or if either one of you remember those, to say to Dan when he gets back, your help would be greatly appreciated. And but um, I don't remember right offhand. And I do remember a lot of the Halloween costumes that were related to like that. I know they had a Flash Gordon one that came out. I don't think it had a helmet, but and it was one of the probably Collegeville costumes or one of those brands that you would just have the graphics on the front of the plastic costume that you wore, much like how a lot of them did. I know I wore a Batman costume that was one of those Collegeville, or trying to think of the name of the other uh, Halloween costume company. Besides that, that was really big at the time. Oh, Ben Cooper was it. And I think mine was Ben Cooper. So Chris says Susan Stringer, or more likely her husband, would probably know. I don't know. Sorry, wish I could be of more help. Well, thank you anyway, though, uh, for that. Um, and I forgot to read what Ace wrote. Oh, well, Living in a Dream with Green Stamps, 1975 catalog. Oh, okay. That's when we was talking about the green stamps. Um, so here comes Dan back,
Yeah.
and
Uh, uh,
I I hate to say it, Dan. I do not remember um, the costume, and I was asking to see if Chris or Ace remembered it.
hmm Well,
And
this was back during uh, the Apollo moon landing days. And like I said, and the same kind of time period of the Matt Mason toys, although I believe those were a little earlier than Apollo. Those might have been Gemini days. But it was basically a kid-sized spacesuit with a dome helmet, like if you remember the Scooby-Doo,
right.
the, the Laughing Ghoul from Outer Space episode. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of shaped like that, and had a backpack and whatnot. But I never had one because they were not cheap, and I really could see no use for something that basically was an advanced version of a child-sized sunroom. But, you would melt in those things with a plexiglass helmet over your head. Um, I always thought they were cool, though. They looked neat. They didn't have much resemblance to actual spacesuits that got used, but you could see where the influence was there. But,
Well, I tried to Google it, and the only thing that I had come up was it's a vintage 1960s Halco NASA astronaut Halloween costume,
mm,
uh, which looked like that. And I know that's not what you're talking about. And
well,
I can't get anything
these
like
these
that to come up.
these they weren't actually sold as costumes; they were toys.
Okay.
But it was a kid size space helmet, backpack, um, and whatever else came with the kit. Uh, I remembered it a week or so ago, and I could not remember any of the details other than the fact it existed. And the name escapes me totally. It's just one of those trivia things. I really couldn't say. Uh,
Maybe early 60s,
could
probably.
have been. Could have been.
The only reason why I say that, I watched a rerun of Dennis the Menace recently where Jay North wore one of those costumes and that very same type of fishbowl type helmet that you're talking about.
Hmm.
And I bet it was quite because, well, you had everything was cowboys for a while and then it just automatically switched to outer space. So the kid who wanted to be a cowboy last year, this year wants to be an astronaut. And I bet some of those toy companies did cater to him.
Oh, one of the neighbor kids up near my paternal grandmother's house had the full size GI Joe with a Mercury space capsule.
Yeah.
That was fun. That thing was huge, but then
Mhm.
the GI Joe was a foot tall, so
Right.
it had
We
to be.
had the, because I was born in 62, we had some of the original G.I. Joe soldiers, but then also in 1970 when it was uncool to have soldiers
Hmm.
for kids to play with, it turned around to become Adventure Team G.I. Joe. And that's when you got the lifelike beards and
Hmm.
hair and the kung fu grip.
Yep,
And
it was
with
short with the
that, we
shoulders, but
had,
they shrunk them down to 6 or 8 inches tall.
yeah, yeah, which they did that in 82.
Oh, okay. I
But
wasn't aware what year, but yeah.
yeah, the 70s, it was still the big 12-inch tall G.I. Joes. And my brother had the big yellow helicopter.
Hmm.
And we I had something else. I can't remember what it was right offhand. But then one year we both got, and it couldn't be just for one of us because it was just super expensive, but it was G.I. Joe Adventure Team headquarters. So it all folded out, the sides folded out, and you had different little things in there. You They even had hangers. You could hang up their uniforms or whatever on one side, and then the other side they had a little table and a chair that you can look at screens, and of course everything's all printed on plastic. And then the top, it pulled straight up, and that was like the watchtower, which you had a little working searchlight up there, and then there was a pole that had a chair attached to it that you put the GI Joe in the chair and slid up the pole into the watchtower. So you had the guy, and but it it all folded up. You put the
Yeah.
tower back down and the sides back together, and it had little uh, clasps on there, and it you could easily carry it off to the neighbor kid's house down the street, which we often did. Carried it off because he had some of the other vehicles, so we would incorporate both of all of our GI Joe swag and get together and play and combine everything, have a good old time with it. But
Yeah, I remember one year we were still living near Knoxville. We had gone to Knoxville to go Christmas shopping at a uh, Zaire, actually. A big
mhm.
old drafty barn of a place with uh, wooden shelves all around. It reminded me very much a repurposed factory.
Mm,
And they were having blue light specials for the Christmas shopping, and they announced over the intercom that they were having a blue light special on GI Joe toys, and I just happened to be there, and I was reaching for stuff that would fit the GI Joe that I had, and I kept getting knocked out of the way by grandmothers and go just snatching stuff up, and I'm going, "Hey, I'm a kid. This is meant for me, you know."
Yeah,
But
really. Give me a break.
they
By the
weren't
way, you sure you wasn't talking about Kmart because they were the ones that had the blue light specials?
no, no. This was a Zaire.
This was the Zares, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We had both.
The Kmart's actually had metal shelves. Uh,
Yeah.
this Zaire, like I said, it looked like a repurposed factory building. So
Mm.
it was even older than any of the rest of them. Matter of fact, in Knoxville, there were two Kmarts. There was the regular Kmart, and then there was the big one that was almost the size of a gas station. So,
Yeah, we
oh,
had a regular Kmart that had the Kmart on one side, and then they had the Kmart grocery store on the other side of it. And then there was a little snack bar in there on the grocery side. And then later on, they took out the grocery store, which that drove a lot of people nuts because they loved getting the groceries at the Kmart. And they kept the snack bar, but then they changed it to Little Caesars Pizza. And when I was working at Kmart, that's what it was then. And basically, they took the groceries out because they just wanted to expand the rest of the store. They moved all the soft lines over there. And of course, they had the automotive center, and they had a actual garage that you could go get new tires on or get your oil changed, and regular center there that you can get a lot of that stuff. So, hi, Teresa.
hello, Teresa. Yep, and the big Kmart there in Knoxville was it was the first place that I had ever seen Johnny Quest. We were
Oh,
there, and remember when it originally came out, it was not a daytime cartoon, it was a nighttime cartoon.
mm-hmm.
And we went
Prime
in
time.
there, and my folks were off shopping, and I was looking around the store, and I found a display of color televisions, which was rare in those days. And one of them just happened to be playing Johnny Quest, and it was the Energy Monster episode. It
Oh,
was the
yeah.
first time I'd ever seen Johnny Quest, and I fell in love with the animation right then and there. And my parents found me sitting cross-legged on the floor across from this color TV watching Johnny Quest, and it's like I'm surprised they managed to drag me away without having to buy a color TV that I was surgically attached to. But
Yeah. Come on, Mom. We need this Quasar color TV.
it's only $15,000. And I wait, yeah, well that would be
Yeah.
the right price for a color TV
Well,
back then.
just buy the Zenith then.
Yeah.
We'll, but yeah, one thing, speaking of Johnny Quest, and I know you're a big fan,
Oh yes,
and
yes.
and your favorite episode is my favorite episode. The noise that energy monster made used to give me nightmares when I was a kid.
And
But
they had to have been doing that with a theremin.
I would
I mean,
imagine, yeah.
if you've ever seen Forbidden Planet, you once you know the name of that
Hmm.
instrument that made those noises, anytime anything ever made those noises, that's exactly what your mind went to was
Oh,
it
yeah,
has to be a
yeah.
theremin that's doing that. I mean, there's nothing else that has that kind of versatility.
And the thing about it is, why, oh, why? And my tablet's about to fall on me here. Had to reposition it. Sorry. Um, they come out with toys for everything else.
Hmm.
Why could they not ever came out with a toy for Johnny Quest jet? I don't know. Did they call that the Questor one or something like that, or the?
I think that was later. the second series of
Oh, okay.
Johnny Quest cartoon, the one that wasn't quite up to par. Um, Not the third one, the New Adventures, which was CGI, but
Right.
the second with the golem.
Oh,
Whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that, and they changed the design of the plane and everything. It's like, yeah, this is worse than the second edition of Space Ghost when they changed the Phantom Cruiser
Right.
that looked like a hardware machine instead of a an Alex Toth drawing. Um,
Which I loved the original Alex Toth version.
oh
And
yeah,
why couldn't Aurora made a model kit of that, and then Jan and Jace's little vehicle
oh yeah, yeah.
to go with it,
Oh,
because that was cool.
have you ever actually looked at the background photograph for that Joe uses when he's doing Stupid O'clock? It's one of my oil paintings. It's basically the moon
Hmm.
with my version of Jan and Jace's little space coupe,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
and
Which I think is kind of reminiscent of the Jetsons type
mm-hmm,
thing when Toth did it, which I'm sure he probably did that one too. Who knows?
it could have
But
been. It theirs just had a little bit more hardware involved.
yeah. But I know what you mean about when they came out with the second version of the ghost ship. They tried to make it look more, well, Star Wars was out at the time, and
Yeah,
I know when they were doing the Space Stars on Saturday morning
yeah,
with Space Ghost and the Herculoids and that
ruined
other
both of them.
silly
Yeah.
cartoon.
Oh.
Um, but anyway, I know that's the look they were going for, thinking that that was going to revamp them.
Hmm. Now I do have to say, as much as I hated the the design of stuff in the second edition Johnny Quest, the stories were not that bad.
No,
I mean, they weren't a touch on the originals. Thunder the Barbarian, Chris says. Yeah, I remember
that's a
that
good one.
too. That was
1980.
that was another good one. Um, it suffered from being uh, aimed at children,
And
but
that's a very Jack Kirby esque looking
yes.
animation to it. I love that just for that.
Hmm. There's been, oh Lord, um, one of my favorite things from that period had to be Mighty Max.
Mighty Max.
Little kid with the hat.
Trying to think. You might have stumped me on this one, Dan.
Oh, you have that ahead of you. I envy you. Okay, Tim Curry was the major villain. Uh, let's see.
When did it come out?
I couldn't tell you, but Tim Curry was doing real big on voice acting there. He did a lot of cartoon voices back in the day. Uh, let's see. One of the other villains was voiced by oh crap, his real name escapes me now. Lieutenant Worf from Next Generation Star Trek.
Oh, Michael Dorn.
Michael Dorn, yes.
Hmm.
He did one of the villains as well. Was
Well,
sort
when
of
you
a,
got a voice like this, you know
yeah.
you're going
Well,
to play
yeah.
a villain.
Mhm. Um,
And Chris Walker says All Star Laugh Olympics, which I actually liked that for a brief period of time.
yeah.
And
Um,
I was always a Yogi Yahoo fan.
oh, back in the there's a childhood photograph of me wearing uh oh, I'm having a senior moment here. Um, uh, uh,
And Ace Bonnie says that Mighty Max is from the 90s. So I'm going to have to check that out.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful cartoon. It's fairly well. Um, Bull from Night Court is one of the heroes that assists Mighty Max.
Oh,
Uh,
Richard Mole.
hmm and one of the best voices ever. Uh, I think his name is Tony J. Um, if you remember the original New Adventures of Lois and Clark
Mm-hmm.
with Dean Cain as Superman, uh,
Mm-hmm. Terry Hatcher.
hmm this guy I'm talking about was Lex Luthor's butler. He just had that British echoing hero voice,
Mm.
and I believe his name was Tony J, but I'm not sure. Um, just one of those absolutely fantastic, and he played another hero assistant, the mentor figure, who was a Atlantean chicken fowl, actually. Um, and that joke would make more sense if you'd actually seen the series. But
Mm.
it's just it goes on for 2 or 3 seasons, and it's really neat. Um,
Apparently,
the
Chris Walker has not seen Mighty Max either, so we both got something to look
oh
forward to.
Lord, yes, that's like uh, you're sitting there and go, oh my God, that's Frankenfurter doing the bad guy.
Well, my friend, which he just goes by the Chuck Shack, and he posts a lot of stuff on in Every Day is Saturday. And actually, I'm in a group of his, and I borrow some of his cartoons that he'll do to put in the Every Day is Saturday group. But I'm going to have to message him to see if he's got any of those on there. He gets a lot of the oddball ones every once in a while, and um, what was it last week? He was doing all the O.J. Readmore
Mhm.
cartoons that.
Ace, I really don't remember if it was Frank Welker or not.
Hmm.
I do want to. I seem to recall the guy's name was Tony J for some reason. I do not know, but that's what sticks in my mind, and I am not an expert. Let me see. Uh, 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 Here we go. I've got to use the third keyboard here. And we will see what Mr. Google points out. Tony J, Rob Paulson, Richard Mole, Tim Curry, Frank Welker, and Kath Soucy. Yes, indeed. Oh, come on, scroll down. Tress McNeil, Corey Burton, Renee Auberjohn, Brad Garrett, Doran Harewood, and Charlie Adler. Um, let's see. I may actually be able to do a screen share if I can remember exactly how I can do this. Now there is a Chrome tab. There we go. Share. And there it is. Now that may be it's like a freaking little bitty postcard to me, stamp size, but there's a list of some of the folks, and it is on Google that I was able to pull that up. So, yeah, yeah. Um, this was really neat. Let me see if I can read this. Come on, mouse, behave. This thing is going up when I scroll down and down when I scroll up, and then it's bouncing.
Mm.
Mighty Max is an American animated action horror television series that aired from September of 1993 to December of 1994, based upon the British Mighty Max toys, an outgrowth of the Polly Pocket line, created by Bluebird Toys in 1992. It ran for 2 seasons with a total of 40 episodes during the show's run.
Well, we got 40 episodes to watch, Chris. Oh, and Chris says that Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and several others were his favorite afternoon cartoons, and they were some of my favorites too. I also liked Mask.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and
Or I,
Tony J played Virgil, the
yeah,
Atlantean bird. Yep. And Frank Welker, Chris Walker says, voiced Megatron. He also believe he voiced Fred from Scooby Doo. Where are you? Now
he
that
did.
I am not okay. Well, thank you. Oh Lord have mercy. We don't have to run up against some wild stuff, do we? Uh,
Well, I'm telling you.
hey, memory lane is a long road.
And Chris said he loved Mask. I was basically out of high school by the time they came around, so I wasn't buying the toys, but I remember my neighbor bought the Switchblade, which was, I believe, the plane that turned into a helicopter or something. It was one of the villain toys, and he bought that for his kid, and he was showing it to me. And the Mask vehicles were, I won't say they were the competition to Transformers, because that would be the GoBots, but they did similar things.
And Chris is asking if we remember Silverhawks.
Oh yeah, and I post them on every day of Saturday every once in a while.
For a moment there, I had that confused with the Jerry Anderson Terrahawks.
Right.
But finally,
Silverhawks would have been mid 80s, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a lot of things like that.
And they're more in line with Thundercats type
Yeah.
of show.
I remember some of the older ones like Battle of the Planets, which is an adaptation of something entirely different that got chopped up and extra footage shoved in for American.
It was Spaceship Yamamoto, I believe.
No.
The original, wasn't it?
This would have been G-Force.
Oh, G-Force, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved Voltron, Defender of the Universe, and which I actually had the Erdl big, huge, it was like 14-inch tall, die cast, the Voltron Lion Force. You'd put them all together, and which I still have them, and somewhere stored away in a box in the spare bedroom.
I don't remember which era that was, but I remember watching some of those.
Would have been early mid 80s.
Well, I meant which era of the there were several different Voltrons as far as.
Oh yeah. There was I think the Lion Force was the first, and then they had the vehicle ones, which I can't remember what that was named. Which Chris may know that one, but yeah, I loved Voltron, and actually, one of my artist friends recently got a Voltron figure that cost him an arm and a leg, that it lights up and makes the noises, and it has the big sword and all the little accessories. And I don't know what he paid for it, but for a man who has kids, he should be ashamed.
Could have afforded an extra kid.
spend that money on the kids. No, he does.
Let's see what else. Oh, Eighth Man, the original black and white cartoons,
Mm,
and then there was a revival movie, which I think was evidence that there was something bigger, the Eighth Man universe over in Japan. But it got chopped up and translated
mm.
and whatnot and shoved over here. Um, let's see, what else was it I used to watch? The original black and white Astro Boy.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a lot more of those exists than I've ever seen. Uh,
I have access to those, and I've put the pilot episodes on a couple times. I should put some more of those on sometime.
I've got a CD or a DVD that is supposed to be uh, quite a few, but it's nowhere near complete.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of things that I remember watching on TV that did not show up on the DVD. So there was missing episodes for that. Um, I find I finally wound up with a fairly complete collection of the original Speed Racer, uh,
Mm.
which throws me to no end because I love that. There was a thing that I've never seen anybody put out on DVD or stream again or anything else. Marine Boy, which is basically the same folks that were doing Astro Boy and
Hmm.
Kimba the White Lion as the voice actors doing an underwater sort of Astro Boy with the oxygum and whatnot.
Chris is saying that he loves the Scooby Doo cartoons that had the guest stars, which that would be the new Scooby movies.
Yep, the new Scooby Doo movies. Yep.
And they have, I won't say all of them on DVD, but a good majority of them on DVD now. I have the complete Scooby Doo Where Are You on DVD, but I don't. I I almost bought the new Scooby Doo movies, and then it said almost all of them. And I'm like, well, why don't you put all of them on there? And I don't know. It must have had something to do with getting the licensing from whoever, whether it
Yeah.
was Sonny and Cher or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
that
They were
kept a couple of them out.
able to get it to actually make the cartoons, but not able to get it to re-release them on
Which, of
a
course, my
DVD.
favorite one was the Davy Jones episode
Oh yeah,
where he was on there. And I kind of like the Mama Cass one too a lot. And the Sonny and Cher, when they did that one, that was actually during the time when Sonny and Cher wasn't really together, and they were even still doing their show, Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour,
I remember
but
that.
were living separately. And so those little zingers that were going back and forth between the two of them, they kind of, there was more to them than what a lot of people thought.
Yeah, most of those jokes wound up in the divorce papers. Yeah, who gets
Yeah.
custody of the jokes?
And then they had their own shows, with Cher being the more popular of the show. And I remember Sonny Bono had his own, and I don't
Yep.
even know if that one even lasted a season.
I don't know, but it wasn't long after that he decided he was going into politics.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yep. He kind of made a better politician. Well, I won't say than a better musician, because he really was the driving force
mhm.
behind their
He was
recording career.
he was a very good music producer.
Hmm.
Was my estimate. Um, let's
I heard
see.
somebody say that he was not quite, but pretty close to being another Phil Spector in that
Over
sense.
controlling. Uh,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
that probably would have
all
fit
ends of it, I
worse.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a perfectionist, you want to be hands on all of it.
Mm,
And if you are a perfectionist, you can't help but irritate everybody that you're going to work with.
yeah. And Chris says as long as it's got the Harlem Globetrotters, Jerry Reed, Don Knotts, Ron Rotz, which there were 2 episodes of with Don Knotts, and Batman and Robin, which there were also 2 episodes of Batman and Robin, said that he would be happy. And I love the Jerry Reed one. The Pretty Mary Sunshine song that he sang in there was, I really like that.
What was the newest series? It was
There was a Scooby-Doo Incorporated, but I don't think that was that
Mystery
new.
Incorporated. Yeah, that's
Mystery Incorporated. Okay.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good, and it was more character driven than monster driven.
Mm-hmm.
But it did get up to some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Any cartoon where an owl is the or owl, was it an owl or a parrot? No, it was a parrot, I do believe, of some description. In any case, it was a talking bird. When that's your major villain, then there's going to be some. Oh yes, Scrappy Doo. Thank you, Chris. We really could have gone the rest of our lives without having to be reminded of the existence.
He annoyed everybody.
That's why he was
Let me at him.
That's why he was the villain
Uncle
of the
Scooby
movie. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, and the live action movies weren't that bad. I mean, they were pretty.
No, Freddie Prinze Jr. did a really good version of Freddie on there. I could have, and the one that played Shaggy. Trying to think.
Yeah.
He was in the reboot of the 13 Ghosts movie.
Yeah.
I can't think of what his name is, but he nailed Shaggy's voice.
Yep.
And the look and everything, actually.
Well, all 4 of the characters actually nailed the parts. They were actually believable. Matthew Lilliard, thank you.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm not popping up replies in the chat in the screen is I am dealing with something about the size of 2 postage stamps here on this laptop screen.
No.
So I can actually see the comments. So.
Well, and I know I have my glasses over there, and I probably should have them on to read them, but actually I'm doing okay tonight. But
well, I'm really not used to using the laptop for anything, and in order to see anything, I'd have to be up like this, and nobody wants to see me in that tight of a focus. Not even the Outer Limits crowd would want something focused into that sort of.
Well, I got an 11-inch screen on this tablet, so it's not the worst in the world, but yeah, it could be a lot better.
Yeah, like
just didn't have that kind of money. And I wouldn't even have this tablet if I didn't get the $400 trade-in value on my old one.
Yeah, my image and your image are like 2 postage stamps stuck on an envelope side by side. So
yeah,
that's one reason why I stopped using the laptop. The other was that I could actually do the green screen and be able to use the 32-inch monitor, 27, whatever the big screen is for my computer. Use that for the desktop monitor, and I could actually see people and read the comments at the same time. And I've tried going full screen on this so I can see us, and my image starts picket fencing. So keep that from happening. It's just going to stay down in the size range that doesn't cause the computer to work too hard to stream.
I'd love to have that setup that Lewis has, but it'd take me 10 years to learn how to use it.
It'd take me 10 years to earn the money to buy it. Good call.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what they pay reporters, but he's been putting some money aside.
Chris, I just thought of another afternoon cartoon that I really look forward to. Almost as equally as Voltron was Robotech, the Macross Saga.
Oh yeah, I loved that when I was watching it on TV.
Yeah, and
They
that was I actually had a couple of those figures. Uh, Came out. I think it was Playmates that made those, which who would do the Star Trek: The Next Generation figures. Um,
I didn't know
and
you had was into that sort of thing.
Yeah, they were. Um, they had some good storylines in there, and I was even reading the comics, which I can't remember. I'm wanting to say it was Dark Horse Comics that came out with them, and which, of course, they had different storylines in the comics, but they were actually pretty good storylines. But uh, the
On the
comics then would have Robotech, the Macross Saga, and then they had several other different series
there was
that they.
there was one writer that was doing the paperbacks of the actual uh, adaptations of the scripts into and he'd do several at a time into one paperback, and it was really neat to uh, to learn some of the background stuff that he was doing with things that were not readily apparent on the cartoons, but were
Mm,
like in the series Bible. But he also had the freedom to insert his own material as well. So
yeah. Chris says that Robotech is being remastered by someone other than Harmony Gold, which is the original company that had them. And he said that he heard that it's going to be improved upon, which that would be interesting to see that.
hmm
And Ace said what was interesting was that the Power Rangers aired in the morning for a while. Ace, I got to tell you, you're looking at somebody who never liked the Power Rangers. Not so much because of the Power Rangers themselves, because they were basically just like Robotech, but the monsters and all that were just like the monsters in the rubber suits in the Godzilla movies and all that, and that got to me a little bit after a while.
no, they were like the monsters in rubber suits from Ultraman.
Or Ultraman, yeah, same thing, yeah.
And
It was really silly.
I loved Ultraman, but I knew it was corny when I saw it. So
Right, right. That was one of those things that I liked a lot as a kid, and as an adult, I'm like, why did I like that?
Mhm.
It
there,
just
there was something else I was going to mention. It wasn't Ultraman because and there on Netflix there are some there's an animated Ultraman series that
right.
it does a very good job of not only capturing the original feel of the 1960s Ultraman that got shown in the U.S., but goes beyond it into develop, developing stuff that uh, we were not able to see, but might have been part of a different Ultraman series over in Japan. And I'm just sitting there with jaw dropped watching every episode. The animation is really good. The voice acting is superb, and the corny monsters actually made sense in this animation. So, it was really
Yeah,
good.
because they
Guyver,
weren't.
I tell you, Chris, the Guyver, that was one that I have never been able to stay awake through. I really wish I could watch that because it's got this huge reputation, but it puts me to sleep after 15 minutes. And I'm sorry, but and that one is actually supposed to be uh, or a rumor has it it was supposed to be based on uh, a, a, what was it Doc Smith's Lensman series, but
Hmm,
that doesn't make sense because it's all giant suits of armor. So
right.
yeah,
I've never seen that.
yeah. Star Blazers.
Seen that.
Yep. Isn't there a live action Yamamoto out now? Um, I think I've seen
I don't
clips on
know.
YouTube about that. All I remember is they were firing off the wave motion gun, and it was live actors, and it looked really cool. Um,
Hmm.
I couldn't tell you 'cause, without seeing the entire thing, and I would not want to make a quality judgment, but what I saw was really cool. Uh, oh, what was
Yeah, some
another?
of those here up in Illinois, it just really depended on the station at the time and who picked up the licensing to run this and to run that. And you get into something like Star Blazers, and all of a sudden they'd take it off the air. It was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, whoa, 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 whoa. I
Yep.
know it's not over. And then they would put on Gilligan's Island or the Brady Bunch or something. Like,
Yep. Something that
son
the
of a
licensing
biscuit
was
eater.
cheaper. Yeah. And that
I
was all
love
it
the
was.
Partridge Family, but I would rather have kept watching Robotech, the Macross saga, to see what happened.
Yeah. Really. Oh. Oh. Sometime soon, Netflix is going to have the final episode of the live action Lost in Space, the new version, which is it's not bad, but if you're totally
Mm,
addicted to the '60s Lost in Space, you're going to hate it.
mm.
But it's much better than some of the other adaptations that have been tried and failed over the years. The only thing I don't like about it was that since and all the remakes tried to make the Robinsons a totally dysfunctional family, uh, this one has the least amount of dysfunction in it. Uh, the original Lost in Space, they were not dysfunctional whatsoever.
Mm.
Uh, the only dysfunctional things about it was every once in a while the robot went berserk, and the existence of Dr. Smith.
But she was actually supposed to be quite the villain because he was
Actually,
a
if
spy
if
or something originally, supposed to be,
the ones
and
where
not
they
the bumbling fool.
the ones where they stuck to that are some of the most chilling science fiction that I have ever seen in my life. But it turned out that in order to keep the ratings high, they actually decided to go for more of the comedy parody aspect rather than
Yeah,
stick
the
to,
campy.
to straight sci-fi. And
Well, you think,
they still
yeah.
had straight sci-fi scripts, but
Hmm.
eventually the comedy aspects outweighed the science fiction aspects, and
Yeah,
both were
know.
excellent, but they were two different things mashed together. You
Right.
know, if you had two different series where one was straight and one was comedy, that would have been really wild and just absolutely fantastic. But the the
Well,
blending elements together was uneven. And I don't want to say that I wound up hating Lost in Space because I really love it, even when it went to camp. But af- during the first season, you really got a good taste of what television science fiction could have been,
mhm.
and then ratings became important. So,
Yeah, well, you got to blame Batman on that one because the camp was
oh,
really working for Batman, and so everybody's jumping on the Batman bandwagon or the
and
Batwagon, and that's why Lost in Space changed the way they did. Now, given that, I do appreciate a lot of the campiness. of it. And there's times where gotten off and watched on the reruns, and that it's like some of them are just horribly silly, but then the other ones you just know they're pretty. I mean, it works. It's the no different than watching the Monkees. The Monkees was a sitcom, a situation comedy in that, and then of course what they were going to try to do with Wonder Woman about the same time that, well, actually it was the same time Batman was out. They wanted to make a comedy, a campy Wonder Woman, which most people are glad that they didn't. But if they did, there probably would have been a space in this universe for it.
Yep. Now, if you ever wondered what a 1966 Batman played straight would have been, all you got to do is change the channel and watch Green Hornet.
Oh yeah,
with Bruce Lee and
Van Williams.
Van Williams. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen your moments left and right here tonight. Now that was same production company,
Mm-hmm.
same time, but played straight.
Mm-hmm.
And excellent drama. It did have some really weird sci-fi elements drop in there from time to time, but that just it was like it was made for. Well, it was made for two different sets of audiences.
Yeah, they had utilized some things in there that would kind of seem well at home in the Batman universe. When the Green Hornet would use the Hornet sting to blow through a door, which I thought was a very cool sound because, I mean, it had this high pitch that kept getting higher, and then boom, you see the explosion, and then they're going through the door. And that's very much Batman. Yeah, among some other things, of course, the Black Beauty, very much Batman, and all the different things that it had. But yeah, it played more like the Untouchables than it did Batman. And that's about the closest thing that I could reference it to, because it did deal a lot with gangsters and crooks of that nature, and not some fancy dressed up costume villain that you would see on Batman.
It was ordinary villains, street level villains, rather than cartoon supervillains.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying one was better than the other, because I enjoyed both for what.
Oh yeah, yep. They both have a spot in my house too. Different reasons, but I enjoyed them both about the same. And it's like watching the Monkees. There was the episodes where the Monkees were parroting Batman and Robin. And that's, of course, how the Monkey Men evolved. And then they did an actual parody of Batman using two different other characters that Mickey and Davy did. And now I can't remember it. It's kind of awful of me because I'm supposed to be the big Monkees fan, but
hey, we're all allowed to have memory lapses, believe me. There was something else I was trying to remember earlier, and now I don't remember whether it was animated, live action, or a mix of both. Oh well, it was on topic at the time, but now I can't remember what it was.
I occasionally air in the Everyday is Saturday group the unaired animated pilot to what would have been the animated Lost in Space TV series.
Oh, wow.
And
I didn't even know about that. I'm
yeah,
gonna I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, actually I put it on. It was either last Saturday or the Saturday before. I think it was last Saturday, because I put a whole bunch of cartoons on Saturday, and I usually do one that's a little bit longer than a half hour. Excuse me, for the last one,
Oh, bless
and
you.
that's the one that I used.
Now
I'm
it's
wanting to
amazing.
say that it was from ABC, but I can't remember.
It's amazing how many um, adventure sort of shows that we got mixed in with the cartoons during the 70s and 80s.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, what's the one? Uh, Arc Two, or
Hmm.
am I remembering a Gene Roddenberry pilot for something? The one with the vehicle that looked like vaguely like the Landmaster from
Right.
Aliens. Um,
Yeah, Pamela and Ferdin, and I
yeah,
believe Billy Tucci was in it. And they
and
had
one
the little chimpanzee.
who was actually in command. Yeah,
Right.
he was the boss, and uh,
Of course,
that.
you had Jason, a Star Command, was another one.
Mhm.
Didn't watch that one quite as much. I did like Arc 2 a lot.
Uh,
Um, loved Land of the Lost.
oh yes,
Got
yes.
got to say that because I'm friends with Wesley Ure and Kathy Coleman, who played the two kids, Will and Holly.
Well,
And
I've got Pamela on my Facebook friends list. She's always coming up with new memories of stuff she was in. I mean, all the
mhm.
way all the way back to what was it? Make Room for Daddy, or the Danny Thomas
uh,
show, or something like that.
she was on the Paul Lynde show.
Oh yeah,
I know in
yeah.
the early '70s.
I think
She guest starred on a lot of other things, and of course, if you saw my picture today that I did of Fern and Wilbur from Charlotte's Web, of course, she was the voice of Fern
hmm
in the animated version of Charlotte's Web in the early '70s, '72 or '73, I think.
yeah. Oh,
And
and Chris just said Jonathan Harris had such a good voice, and he
mhm.
loved that. Jonathan's portrayal of Lucifer in the original Battlestar Galactica series,
Yep.
which, yep, I remember that quite well. I remember that quite well. Never missed an episode of Cattle Barn Galacticar. Um, as my friend with the 4 foot Saturn V model called it. Of course, we were in high school at the time and pretty much into trying to parody everything, whether it needed to be or not. Uh, Lord have mercy. Memory lane.
Battlestar is one of the ones that I enjoy watching now. I never did watch it that much back in the '70s.
hmm
And I kind of watched Buck Rogers back then a little bit. And that's another one of those now that I think about it as an adult. Why did I watch that? I did
Well,
not
yeah,
care for that quite as much.
that was in a wasteland era for science fiction at the time. Star
Right.
Trek had been canceled. Star Wars and Star Trek movies did not exist. So you were left with things like what was it? Fantastic Voyage, or the one with Roddy McDowell. They were walking through time portals to different places on some island somewhere. Um,
Mhm.
can't remember exactly what it was.
Well, I did watch Roddy McDowell on the Planet of the Apes TV series that
Mhm.
was short lived because it was so expensive to make it.
This is true. This is true.
Of course, you
Uh,
had Star Trek the animated series that
yeah.
most of the people voiced, and those were wonderful episodes.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
they were really nice. Larry Niven even adapted one of his known space stories for the animated Star Trek
Hmm.
series.
Got all
And
those on DVD.
yep, me too. Well, not DVD, but I've got them all.
Hmm.
I've got them all on a hard drive somewhere.
Yep.
Um, they were those were supposed to be uh, the continuing mission, the rest of the 5 year voyage that got truncated during the third year of the live action series being canceled.
Right.
Uh,
Well,
and very,
I
very
gotta
high.
say that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said very highly received, and I was gonna say
Mhm.
Larry Niven also wrote 3 episodes of Land of the Lost,
Yes, he did. Hmm.
and he's very proud of those. He loves the work that was done with those scripts. Uh, he also did a new Outer Limits episode. It was an adaptation of his story Inconstant Moon, and it starred the father from uh, it was Michael Gross. Anyway, I can remember the name of the show now. Was one of the first things that oh, I hate it when that happens. I really hate it when
And
it happens.
now you know
Michael,
why John Googles so much.
Michael J. Fox. It was one of the first TV things that Michael
Oh
J. Fox.
yeah, Family Ties.
Family Ties. Yes, indeed.
Hmm.
Uh, but the new Outer Limits episode was very, very uh, close to Niven's original story. They only tweaked it just a hair. Um, lots and lots of things. Lots and lots of things. Um, Ringworld is still in production, as now it's supposed to be a TV series rather than a movie, and all the Niven fans are going, "Oh, please don't screw this up." But it's been in pre-production or production hell as a movie or a series of movies or a TV series or just this, that, and the other thing for going on 30 years now, and everybody's afraid of screwing it up, so it never really gets into more than pre-production. Uh,
Well, I think the probably favorite science fiction show during the mid 70s. So it would have been post Star Trek TV series and pre Star Trek movies and pre Star Wars movies, even would be Space 1999. I just totally love that. And you talk about earlier having the models of the USS Enterprise and that. Eagle Moss puts out small diecast versions of all the Star Trek ships, and now they're putting out all the Eagle One transporters and all the different Eagle One ships from Space 1999, which has me salivating quite a
oh,
bit.
yep.
And but
Another
they
another
cost a pretty penny.
another good live action Jerry Anderson from that period or just a little earlier was UFO,
Hmm.
and that I was totally in love with that. Believe me, the model work, Derek Medding's model work on that.
Hmm.
I mean, you could see even back then the man had lots of things he could do with bits and pieces of plastic that nobody else could do. And didn't he do the model work for 1999 as well?
Hmm.
Uh,
And I actually had a model back in the mid 70s, and I think it was AMT that made it was an Eagle One transporter, and I think it was AMT that did it. And
sounds right.
I remember putting mine together, and I was pretty good about it, and I was a really good painter of models. Then my friend that I went to junior high school with, says, "Hey, I bought one and I'm having problems with mine. Can we put it together?" I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm spending the weekend out at my grandmother's house, helping her do some things. Well, do you think I could come out there for a day?" And I'm like, "Let me ask." Long story short, he came out. I helped him all this afternoon, all afternoon long, putting this model together. And he had already painted the pieces prior, which he didn't do the best job. But I said, "Well, look, you painted it already. I'll help you put the model together, and that's going to be that." Put it together, and I remember there was snow on the ground. So I'm guessing it must have been around Christmas vacation or something. And he wouldn't let it set up for 24 hours, which what I always did. I don't even testers, glue, or anything. I just, once I got it together, I let it set, cure, whatever you want to call it, for a day before I even touched it, because you just don't know. And he couldn't do it. And he went outside when I was busy helping my grandmother do something and taking that out. And he was going to put it out, set it out into the snow to make it look like it was on a planet and take a picture of it. In the process of doing that, one of the pieces fell off, fell into the snow, a white plastic piece falling into the snow. He never found it.
I don't doubt it.
And he was madder than a wet hen and blamed me because he said, "Well, you helped me glue it together." "Yes, but I told you to let it sit. Don't bother it."
Yep.
You couldn't do that. So I am not to blame on this one. And why I remember that after all these years, other than the fact that I said that I used to have one of the model kits, that's probably the only reason. But and I wasn't a perfectionist at model building, but I knew a lot. My brother was a perfectionist when he built his car models, and that's why I probably learned a lot of it from him. But
well, I was deathly afraid when you began that story that you're going to say, as soon as we got it finished, he took it outside and stuck a firecracker in it to blow it up just like on screen. I'm going to play I'm going to play a Rising Tide commercial, and I will be right back. So enjoy this break, all of our one watcher. Welcome to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Here you will find a variety of shows which cover a wide array of interests, from comics to creativity, mysteries to mixology, and science to history. There's something for all interests at the Rising Tide. There are shows every day of the week, daytime and nighttime. So take a look at our schedule and see what appeals to you. If you're interested in comics, both independent and mainstream, check out Comics Chaos and Sass, or Comic Book Spectrum, or from the desk of a small press publisher. If you want encouragement and advice on furthering your creativity, we have Creative as Hail and Tidbits and Scribbles. If you enjoy mysteries and conspiracy theories, we have The Truth Mongers. If you're into interviews with up-and-coming talents, there is a TED Talks made just for you, as well as clever title pending. If you're into classic combat sports, there's the Historical Fencing Guild. And if you want to know what it's like to hang out with convention regulars, we have Stupid O'Clock and Last Man Standing. If you want witty repartee and fast-paced fun, check out Nevermind the Furthermore. If the science of rocketry and spaceflight is your thing, we have Armchair Rocket Science. But that's by no means all the Rising Tide has to offer. New shows will be added as they develop, so stay tuned. All Rising Tide shows share a spirit of mutual cooperation, under the philosophy that a rising tide raises all ships. Lightly ruled over by our comic ringmaster of mayhem, Brian K. Morris, We support and promote each other's works. What helps one of us to greater success helps all of us achieve even more successes. So look at the schedule, check out the shows, and we're sure that you will want to come back for more. Well, heavens, that worked out appropriately.
Good. I was afraid I was going to have to vamp.
Oh, that's, I try not to leave you with that, but sometimes it's unavoidable. In any case, let me go back to the comments here. Having to switch from.
It's a good learning tool for me. So,
Hey, what I like to see is other people with shows becoming more comfortable being on camera and not coming across as being just scared to death. There's several.
We're on camera.
Yeah, there are several of our friends who are gradually becoming less self-conscious and more at ease with the camera.
That's good.
That's just.
And I'm working on my speaking. I think we talked about once before that Laura has been helping me on trying to cut out certain words and trying to speak a little bit more fluently and doing really good on the ums.
Mm-hmm.
And my worst was always, and it would be torture. One of our local, well, he's not a meteorologist, but our local weatherman, Doug Quick, he's a friend of mine on Facebook, and I know him in person. He just retired from 50 years of being on radio and TV as a news anchor and weatherman, and I heard him on one of our local radio stations this morning. They had him on for an hour, and I guess since I've been trying to work on my speaking, that I become more aware of when other people have the same problems that I do. And I heard Doug, which I never heard him do this on the air. So maybe because he's retired now, a little bit more loose with the language, and not in the sense of the green room sense loose, but I heard him start a sentence and either midway through or end the sentence with the word,
It does.
He would kind of turn around and start talking about old WCIA tower, and he just kind of kept going on, and he would always end it with
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to this for about 7 minutes, and it was one of those OMG moments. And the more I hear other people say it, the more I become aware of it myself. And then now talking to you here on your show, or with Joe and John on Stupid O'Clock, I'm really kind of treading lightly when I talk about things. And it seems like the more that I speed up my speech pattern, the more I trip myself up. So I'm learning when I do it too.
The trick is to just relax and just stop worrying.
Mm.
Be as much of yourself as you can possibly be, but be the best version of yourself you know how to be. Uh,
You know,
oh yeah. Um, and
Well, when I
the
was saying a lot, it was always because I was replacing taking a breath or a pause with the word
yep,
And
you
you
were
don't
using
have
it
to say
comma.
to pause. Right.
These are things that you wind up getting in the habit of, and it's a hard habit to break. But then again, once you're aware of it and you're consciously trying to eliminate it, you speak more naturally and more conversationally. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. It needs to be conversationally. Uh, and here I'm doing it. But I'm pausing to collect another thought here rather than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Well, it's
never
like any skill. You got to hone that skill.
hmm I have never been comfortable with public speaking, but I've been put on the spot so many times that I have learned not to worry about it. And that's a hard lesson to learn, believe me.
Mm.
Self consciousness
It is.
is not your greatest enemy, but it's one that's fairly easy to overcome, but it takes practice. Uh,
Well, I need a lot of practice.
don't we all? Don't we all? But I've done enough
Mm.
convention panels and I've done enough question and answer sessions at safety meetings and things like that to where I'm I don't worry about it anymore. I'm just trying to be myself, and whatever unconscious habits I have, if they become annoying to me, I can work on them. Otherwise, I won't notice them. If they become
Right.
annoying to somebody else, who cares? That sounds very cynical.
I think my end. I'm I kind of glitched there a couple times. I know you kind of glitched, but I think it was on my end and not your end.
Don't worry
So
about
I
it.
don't know if I got more storms coming through or what it is.
Probably a little bit of both. And here we have the 2 hour mark, so we're going to call it a night.
Oh
And
yeah, we
thank you.
do. It is the witching hour here in Illinois.
We have had a wonderful discussion here. I wish that Chris and some of the other folks that were in the audience had popped in, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
We've had a grand old time,
Well,
and to
thank
everybody,
you for having me on here. And
oh, always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have you on. You're a fascinating conversationalist. You have access to
mm,
memories I have never been allowed to have. You've had experiences that I will never know, and learning from you about things that were not a main part of my childhood or adulthood or anything else, but things that you have gone through that I can relate to and whatnot. Hopefully, we have been reciprocating here because I know being two different people from
oh
two
yeah,
different areas of the country, we did not have identical childhoods. We were not clones, maybe brothers from another mother, but these things are fun. So let's say
yeah.
goodnight,
Are we
everybody.
not men?
Yeah, well,
We are Devo.
definitely. And on that note, good night, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks for
Good
watching
night,
on the
everybody.
replay. Uh, we love y'all. Bye bye.
Bye.